public comments period number 1, you only have a 3-minute limit, I have a timer. We'll give you a 30-second warning. Anything on the agenda, if it's not on the agenda, we'll take it for information, we can't take any action on anything that's not on the agenda, so it certainly can be brought up. So, with that, turn the machine on, who's up first? And we'll start with the top. Mr. Rice.
Thank you, guys. I don't mean to put anyone on the spot today.
Please state your address, please.
Bob Rice, W84 Shorewood Drive, East Road, Wisconsin. You guys were such a help with the road. We've been working on that for 5 months. We're looking forward to getting that road done so that it's safe to plow and for emergency vehicles this year. One thing's come to my attention, seeing I was the spokesperson for the road. People think that I should be passing the baton when something happens. Attorney Mills, a couple of years ago in 2020 in December, a couple people asked to vacate that fire lane, the 2 homeowners on the side. Your response was the town took no action on your petition as it had no authority to vacate. The bottom of that letter says, since there's been no effort by the town of East Troy to accept or treat the street and the alley is public, it remains private. There's the committees who live on L have made a point of trying to access that alley, that private parcel, for their lake access, and have really pushed that issue. 2 weekends ago, I believe they had 9 people at that alley and claimed that they had a right to be there. The police were called and the police said, no, that's kind of public access. So I'm just asking the board, where do we go? You know, we've kind of gone around, are we responsible for paying for the road, or are you guys doing it because it's public? It was deemed private. When the police are called, how do we get the police to issue citations for trespassers? That's what I'm asking your help for, if that can be transparent. The committees were issued a letter on June 18th of 2021 explaining the situation based on your letter, that that's private, it's not public access, and they continue to push that issue. So I'm just looking for the town's assistance. I'm not saying we're being nice, they've been asked nicely to leave several times, but I think it's time to start enforcing that issue.
I did get an email from a realtor, maybe it was a real estate attorney, from the
Blackburn.
homeowners that you're referring to.
Godfrey, Lesby, Blackburn, and Howard.
Yes,
Okay, I've got that letter here too.
and they said that, the sheriff will be forwarding a copy of the report that was done regarding the latest incident,
Okay,
and that, once I get the report, give me a call.
okay.
That's what the email said.
Because I know they just cut, I walk that road frequently, so I know they just cut that path, you know, for the UTVs or ATVs 3 or 4 years ago. That wasn't an existing path for the past several decades, like it stated in that letter.
Okay.
So, if you have any questions, I do have a copy of that letter from the attorney, if you want that.
Oh, I didn't see the letter, I just got an email saying
Okay.
something had happened, there's a sheriff's report that is going to be forwarded to you. Once you get it, give me a call.
Okay.
Thanks for following up on that. I was here on election day and I know Officer Medina was trying to explain the situation to the constituent, and the constituent failed 3 times to give me his name. Told me he would go to somebody else to find out, so I thank you for coming probably on his behalf. I spent.
I get dragged in sometimes. It's like,
Yeah, I
you know.
spent 30 minutes with the constituent who I repeatedly said who I was and what my relationship was and how could I help and what was his name, and he never gave me his name. Officer Medina was working with him, but I also had another meeting to go to, so after 30 minutes I had to excuse myself.
Okay, you're gonna forward that to Jim?
Yeah, I'll make copies, I can drop them off at your office, if that's all right, because this is the only copy that I've got.
That's fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. The attorney's letter will state something to the effect of adverse possession.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next,
Have you seen the letter?
I got the property owner that lives next to that lot there, had forwarded me that letter. I probably have it too somewhere, but I don't want to look at it now, but I have 2 rooms full. You
No, I don't.
I know you guys are going through the process of, financing the police chief for the town. Is there anything that you're at liberty to say? We'll be down to so many candidates, we have a guy picked out, we have a gal picked out, you know, letter and anything, let that public know.
I think we have an agenda in here where we're gonna approve, right, approve final draft for the police contract, so.
So are we narrowed down, we got guys?
Yeah, we have a.
You look at the packet online.
No, I didn't look at it yet.
Yeah, we have accepted, initial offer, and then there's nothing official until he gets the contract, and then we have to sign it.
Is this contract that we're approving for him within the confines of the town ordinances, like the last one was a little bit outside the confines of the contract, about what the statutes are? Is the one that you guys are gonna be approving, is it within what the state statutes in our township have?
It's perfectly legal.
Okay. And you're gonna be talking about it a little bit later on in the agenda?
It's not gonna be a real contract until it's approved.
Right now, it's a draft. I mean, the applicant may get it and suggest changes.
And then the applicant's gotta accept the offer, correct? And if he accepts it, then we give it to the chief.
Yes, he then get notice and then we have.
Alright, thank you.
My name and address is on the last one, is that good, or do you want?
No, please repeat it.
Joe Jones,
Okay,
N9033, East Miramar Drive.
thank you.
All I wanted to say, you took my thunder away. I wanted to thank you for posting the packet. I thought I can come up and complain about it, I ought to come up and congratulate you, so thank you. I even saw the indent problem, so I was tracking with you as you discussed it, so anyway.
Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate it,
Thank you.
You know, I didn't realize there was a 3-minute limit, and I was gonna respond to something that came up in the last meeting. Art Osceola, and 9156 Sunday Lane. So, I've got slides I wanted to put up so people can see drawings. It's gonna be take about 7 or 8 minutes. If you wanna humor me with that, that's fine, otherwise, we'll go on the agenda next meeting.
Is that something that you could print out and submit to the board to review before next meeting?
I could do that.
That would be the best. I don't even think we have a projector set up yet, we have a screen,
I have a projector.
so that would be part of that work.
Oh, yeah.
I think due to the time limit.
If there's a time limit, I get it.
Because in effect, we got you and the neighbors, peer permit both together, kind of connected, now it shouldn't be connected,
Mhm.
but they are, because one is talking about the other, okay?
Yeah.
So, but, you do have some time if you wanna say anything generally about the situation.
Well, I can tell you generally is that I reviewed and I'll go on the agenda next meeting. Generally, I listened to the meeting and, expecting to hear some rationale for why the peer permit, that is not conforming should be approved. And all I really heard was a lot of sniping and complaining about my pier, so what I was kind of do is set the record straight, and what's really going on with my pier, and perhaps draw the proper property lines and so forth, because the lines, the drawings were showing had incorrect lines on it. And kind of lay out where that is, in my view, yeah, they're disconnected. Ours is grandfathered in, we've changed over the years, a little bit, and, but it's disconnected, and so I think what we're really hearing is someone with about twice the shoreline I have wants to put in, multiple piers, and take some of the swimming area we've been grooming for the last 20 years, pulling milfoil out or anything, and put both us and docks on it, and, you know, I know that, I don't believe the committee has the right to give away my riparian property rights, but we still stand by the letter we sent originally, is that, you know, happy to have piers, we have no animosity towards Russ, Carol's here tonight, but don't really wanna give up property, particularly when they have over twice the shoreline, I mean, they've already got, you know, plenty of room, so. But I'll go on the agenda next time, and email the slides. Thank you.
issue there that's real, obvious here is that our ordinance as well as state statute both talk about, not interfering with the neighbor's riparian zone. Okay, so that's kind of key. Okay, next.
Lisa Pinton, 7788 Carver School Road. I just want to briefly make you guys aware of the ATV issue on Carver School Road. We have some curves there. And I know Saturday there was a kid who went by my house 6 times on his ATV. And then on Mondays, there's always been a lot of construction traffic. I'm assuming they're going down to Highway 11. But once they start harvesting and heading to that grain dryer, there are gonna be a ton of trucks going through there, and I think ATVs on that road going 45 is not a safe issue. I understand having it by the lakes and everything, but out there with farm tractors and curves where you can't see around, an accident waiting to happen.
We do have a discussion on that, a little later on here too, or actually coming up next. So, okay, thank you. Anything else? Public comments, we do have one other one later. Real good, going once, twice. Okay. Stop. Okay, unfinished business, review update on ATV ordinance and issues. I believe we got this one.
Yes, I've been approached by some of my neighbors as well, regarding the ATVs and the UTVs, similar situation on Bell School Road. Farming community as well. Multiple complaints of, some four-wheelers with no lights, after 9 PM on the road, which is a hazard. Obviously, one of the neighbors followed them to Miramar and said and Woodfield Court, and almost hit 3 people, then pulled out on Highway J. And they called the police officer, and he was following them as he was on the phone with dispatch. And he mentioned to dispatch, well, why don't I put my strobe lights on so that they know, so they can see, because they don't have their headlights on, and the dispatch thought it was a good idea, but then apparently it was a concern from the four-wheelers saying they were being chased, and that's why they were speeding and, things like that. That wasn't the only, instance. They said that four-wheeler was probably going 55 or 60 miles an hour, so obviously we have the rules in place, but unfortunately, right now, where we have limited resources, I think, to enforce the rules. Their other neighbors are concerned that it's been really loud exhaust on the four-wheelers, you can hear it for miles. Multiple close calls with the four-wheelers, pulling out on the road without checking. On Hill Valley there's been some reports of them crossing into Waterford, and I understand the Waterford Police Department, has also reached out. So it's generally been brought to my attention as a safety concern. The four-wheelers that I've seen do have helmets on, but it seems they're going in excess. Obviously, I don't have a radar on, I don't know for sure. But again, if the intent was for access to the lake, maybe that would be the best place to keep it, and limit the roads. I know we went, simplify, we went with all the town roads, but just wanted to share that I have multiple neighbors and complaints and concerns for safety.
The one that involved Chase, I did have a long discussion with Kyle.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure, let him know that wasn't a good idea to chase him, even though he's out just following him. Sometimes following versus chasing, you have to be a little definition, but here's the way I see this, I mean.
Well, even if a cop is behind you, following you, or chasing you, doesn't give you the right to speed away from them.
Right.
True.
Right, it wasn't a cop, but
It was a truck driver.
Yeah.
And speed,
Reckless driving and.
Yeah, the other thing that's happening is, some people are taking advantage of this and saying, thinking an ATV applies to dirt bikes. Dirt bikes are never legal on the road,
There are dirt bikes as well.
period, okay?
There's a definition of ATV, UTV.
In our ordinance.
Yeah, at least 3 drivers and not more than 6 or whatever, but, dirt bikes are never legal on the road, okay? And all the rules by the ordinance say, you know, as far as a driver's license, safety equipment and all that, I think what's gonna happen here is either, these people will be caught and they'll get the idea, or they'll continue to do it, and they'll ruin it for everybody else.
Right.
I had some people call me and said, just rescind it, just rescind it, get rid of it, done, gave it a chance. Well, how many people? How many people called? But, one of them, was not really mad about it, but Kyle's deal is he witnesses a lot of this, you do, I mean, I had yet to see one on the road. You know,
But on my road,
and you gotta go.
I see 'em.
yeah,
But they're obeying the
We
rules.
had back and forth, which is fine, cause Sabota is a town road, but on Saturday, we had one take off down 120, and that's a big no-no.
Yeah, but too bad the state patrol wasn't sitting there, because that's a $500 fine on the state road.
Isn't there something though, Todd, county roads 45 and less,
35 or less.
35 or less, okay. So
I had
that's
a
what
really
we're-
scary situation, there was one with, 2 occupants not wearing helmets
No, we,
and a dog.
we have.
We don't have
That
jurisdiction.
was not
Doesn't matter if we.
restricted in any way. And so if that dog had left in front of the person driving, I was really afraid. There were no helmets, the dog was not restrained, and they were going down this beach road, which has a huge hill and lots of dogs on
I
it.
think they're getting drawn on UTV or ATV is what you're saying?
Yeah, they were on,
And someone didn't have their dog leash.
the dog was sitting in between the driver and the passenger.
Well, the dog was on.
In between the driver and the passenger, and neither of the occupants in the vehicle had helmets on. And I was totally afraid that the dog would leave and cause a terrible crash. I voted no for safety.
We literally had an experience, personally, my husband and I, on Bell School Road that, and we're going 45, and there was a ATV pulling onto the driveway without the lead, we literally had to swerve around it. So, on the hill, so it was a blind spot for them as well.
So, for instance, the example I did mention, okay, 120 we can, but going the other way they could. Okay, where I live on 120, I should never see one. What I see is at the apartment houses is dozens and dozens of motorcycles, and those will rattle your teeth when it goes in my neighborhood, okay? That's the noise I hear. Now, any of the ATVs that anybody mentioned seeing personally, were they loud? What did you
I've
see?
seen a couple down.
Yep.
Well, by me, but
After 9
No,
o'clock.
that-
We have the house closed up with air conditioning, we know
Hardly is lower.
and I'm not trying to be insensitive to this because the safety is a huge concern and it is to us, but, you know, I've got cars pull out and I swerve around. I've had, you know, I mean, blind curves and I completely understand, but the blind curve with a full-size vehicle with a, you know, farm equipment coming the other way is doing 45 is doing. Again, we have to try and trust that people are going to, you know, going to utilize and be safe and follow the rules.
Start rate and
Put out there.
tickets.
And when we discussed this, we did say, if this becomes a real problem, and it's over and over, our police department's trying to do stuff that we can rescind this, but, you know, it's so fresh, it's so new, I think that we have to give it an opportunity, in my opinion, and I don't want anybody to get hurt, I don't want that, but people do violations of motorcycles, cars, and everything, you know, again, I'm not trying to be insensitive to safety here, but I think that if we could start establishing some contact with people that are having these issues, that word will start spreading, and it's not a warning, you're getting hit, you know, a type of a situation, if you're doing something wrong, just start with it, as we become more available.
Right, two things on that. One, I will say that ATVs are more visible on the road than a motorcycle, just because it's more massive, bigger.
As long as they have headlights.
If they have-
You know, I mean, that kind of stuff, I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
It's
and the second thing, I do think maybe we should put on our website to say that, hey, dirt bikes, number one, not an ATV, okay, they're never legal on the roads, okay? And number two, that you're gonna be using ATVs on town roads. Leave your,
Use of the rule.
that's only like 5 pages, right? But anyway, it's not that hard to understand. There's the part about having a driver's license, the part about having the right equipment, okay, and licenses. I mean, all that stuff, I think, to some extent, being brand new, there could be a little bit of a knee jerk here. Obviously, we have to let it go through a year to see how, the winter may be different, maybe better, maybe worse, we'll find out, okay? But after a year, I think it needs a big review, and that also input probably from our new police chief on a few things, you know?
I did get an email this evening that our ATV ordinance is now completed and in our online ordinances section.
In every violation, there is a $250 fee, other than the OWI section of the statute. And second violation, at least for, I believe it's reckless driving, that becomes a $500 fine. Speeding tickets start at like $98. Here, there is no graduated up, it's $250 from the go, so.
Start advertising that on your website.
Just for one or possibly two of the, it's in the statute.
Jim, is a town preempted by state statute from limiting roads, designating them as unsafe or?
The town can choose which roads it wants as ATV routes. Our ordinance would just have to change then to say, here's where the routes are in the town.
And we also can, set a different speed limit, and I see why that up by Wausau, if you want speed. You know, 45 mile per speed limit, maybe the ATV sign right below it says 35. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because now you have a slower piece of, equipment in the road, but I do think that, you know, if changes are needed, they're gonna be done, you know, I think it has to happen, that's a job, you know, but it is also just part of it.
Well, I think history should be our guide here, Kim's right, I'm sorry, Michelle's right. We started back in March with a request from fishermen to be able to go on frozen lakes with their ATVs and UTVs. 4 months later, we've opened every town road for ATV, UTV use. Barb and myself have been advocating for the safety assessment on the roads. There are so many curves and blind spots that not just the ATV and UTV people are endangered when they correctly yield the right of way, but the pedestrians and the vehicle drivers are also in harm's way. We've created so many potential accidents by rushing into approving this ordinance. Disappointed how it was approved last month. No reasonable person, I believe, would have read the July 11th posting for this ordinance, because any reasonable person reading that agenda would have thought there would have been a discussion about having a referendum and authorizing Jim to write those referendum questions. No reasonable person would have surmised that this ordinance would have been enacted. Now, Jim's gonna tell me I'm probably wrong, but I think pretty right about this. An agenda item must clearly indicate the intent. The intent of last month's agenda item was to discuss a referendum. Had my brother-in-law not died and I had to leave the meeting, I would have voted for that referendum, and this ordinance would not be in effect today. We would have been doing the due diligence to protect our pedestrians, our vehicular drivers, as well as do a better job in terms of safety analysis. I think we can still do the safety analysis. We've got the guys in DPW and police, they know the curves, they know the blind spots, they know the places that are likely to be a problem. Yes, at the annual meeting, less than 1% of the people voted to have an ATV, UTV ordinance approved, 55% to 45%, as I recall, of less than 100 people, less than 1% of the population. 4 months later, we rushed to approve an ordinance that is problematic and will continue to be problematic. I think we did ourselves a disservice by not doing due diligence, particularly on safety and an ordinance review around, particularly right-of-way issues that are gonna surface. Thank you.
One comment on that vote, that was 43 to 53, so the 45-55 is correct. That was a well-publicized deal, and we hope, again, annual meetings mean something, so anybody that had a real big heartburn for or against it should have been there. And it was a good turnout, I don't know what they came for, but that was a pretty, 96 people, voted on that, so I think everybody that showed up voted.
Most annual meetings before I started, we had 4.
Well,
So,
except
I mean,
260.
that's people are concerned with things, and I think it's great.
And we talked about, we had over 100 signatures that started the discussion.
Yeah, so it was a petition with 120 signatures.
1%.
And when you, took out the people that didn't live in the town, it was 99 or 100. So it was 100 people. That was a petition just to say, continue looking at this. So we said, we're on the annual meetings, we did, okay, well publicized there, and there was a vote there, okay, and Bill was right, if he didn't call out an emergency,
You would have been 3 to 2.
the referendum question, they went the other way, okay? But there was, he was one set, we go over to the next one, so we will, well, give that comment on it.
I have to look at the actual agenda. I do know that all items are for discussion and possible approval. I don't know if the July agenda said ATV referendum or discussion on ATV ordinance.
Discussion and referendum was brought up.
Put this referendum, discussion, putting it to referendum.
Okay,
That was a 2-2 vote, which one did fail.
okay.
That's all that. So again, it's,
So that did happen.
so, and again, my view on this is gonna be a little bit of a wait and see. I do think some of this is knee jerk, but I also know that I had enough calls that is concerned, okay? But, as far as the roads go, I had mentioned that, the geometrics of our roads are not well suited for that, but they're not well suited for motorcycles.
Cars, you have a linear object going around the same corner.
Yeah,
So
and-
2 cars side by side can be just as dangerous on a lot of these curves. I've been here a long time, I'm not taking.
I would agree, East Shore is a
Even for
perfect
people
example.
walking and stuff like that.
And how do you decide which roads are gonna be open?
Well, and at the
Somebody
same
on Bell
time,
School
you
wants to
can,
go fishing.
you can come from Bell School all the way to Lake Beulah,
And
the way roads are, so I don't know how, when you decide, seeing what the county decides too, isn't this gonna be on there?
County's gonna have it in
August.
Yes. I believe the safety committee did not give a recommendation to the county board, so I don't know why that happened, but, safety committee did have that on their agenda. So, I don't know, Todd, did you hear anything about the county at all?
Yeah, the county's is getting pressured by a lot of the other townships that have started to open. Yes, last month, the safety committee had a meeting, we got another one coming up in September, that I will attend. So,
And, I was talking to the guys from, Jefferson County up in the meeting, and every town in Jefferson County, plus the county, is open to ATVs except town of Koshkonong. And town of Koshkonong had on their agenda, I think a week ago, it was a couple days after I was up there, so I guess that was last week. So, I think
Yeah,
it's.
I was in Jefferson County last week, and their signs specifically say all Jefferson County.
Yeah.
And so, right in the village of Jefferson, it's posted that it says all county roads.
Right now, we are in the process, our actual town signs are in the process of being made, that say the town roads. It's still up to a lot of the people that are riding to know what roads they can and cannot go on.
Yeah, and that's the other issue.
I think
that-
it's pretty clearly marked right now, though, cause I saw you even had like end of them
Yeah, and actually, there's signs coming that'll be actually bigger than that little one, but it's something for now saying, hey, you can't go past this point.
Right. And again, like I mentioned 2 months ago, it is a conundrum, because people move out into the country, they have more recreational opportunities, number one, but the other side of it is our job on, health, safety, and welfare, of the public, so those two are diametrically, well, they are. So, I guess keep an eye out for that, but I did tell Kyle Peterson, who was in a lot of stuff, I told him to, start a diary on it, so he's not, thinking, remembering what he thought he remembered, that don't work. Write it down so you have, kind of a record of it.
Well, and I also told him to come down the road to my house and tell me that he doesn't have to be the central person.
Well, he seems to, he's got 2 places,
Yeah. We're in the middle.
yeah, he sees Miller Road too, he says, that's where the guy keeps flying up, flying over the hill. Okay, so I guess we're out in years over on this, I do think that, revisions can be made, but let's see how it continues to work here, I just hope it gets better. Okay, next item on the agenda is Wildwood County Protect